Ça ira, ça ira, ça ira. Les aristocrates à la lanterne. Ça ira, ça ira, ça ira. Les aristocrates, on les pendra.
There's the ding, and we are back, people. It's been another busy week. I am James.
And I'm Matt, and this has been probably the busiest week we've ever had since we've been doing this thing.
It really feels like, and I'm going to use this as the title for this, the world is dissolving in real time around us.
And on the podcast apps, I'm going to call it Deny, Deny, Defend, Depose. That's what I'm going to call it because I feel like we got a rallying cry.
Fucking A. I don't want the energy for this to die. And in order for the energy to keep up, whoever's next on the list needs to be taking a dirt nap pretty soon. That's just my opinion, not the opinions of the podcast. Moving on.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that and more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about what happened overseas today because so much stuff happened this week overseas.
Yes.
Korea, Romania, Georgia, France.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the United Healthcare CEO assassination. And first up, what happened in Syria? Because that just happened yesterday. We're recording this, by the way, on Sunday, December 8th at 4:29 p.m. is what it is right now on the East Coast anyway. James is in Central, that weird time zone.
Yeah, the normal time zone. So I woke up this morning and with much confusion and surprise seeing all these posts about the Assad regime had fallen, and apparently that turned out to be factual.
Yeah, so that rebellion has been going on for a very long time.
13 years.
And apparently what happened was Russia told Assad, we can't support you anymore. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And the rebels must have got word of that because they launched a huge offensive. The rebels that ended up seizing Damascus, the capital of Syria, are Turkey supported, mainly. Iran also. There's another set of, I don't know if they're rebels, but they're separatists, I would say. The Kurds, which are supported by the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They hold some territory, but it's far from Damascus, and it was the Turkey-supported rebels that took Damascus, and they're in power now. I mean, some of the videos that I've seen is awesome. You know, with them stealing Assad's cars and eating his food and stuff. I love to see that because that's class warfare, and that's what we're experiencing here, which we're going to talk a lot about today.
And people being liberated from a relatively renowned prison that Assad managed that held political prisoners.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the women getting released?
Yes.
And they're saying, well, where do we go? Doesn't matter. Go wherever you want. You're free. We want our stuff, they said. And they're like, just go get new stuff. You're free. Yeah, freedom must be great for people that don't have it for decades or more.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first, my initial reaction, my literal initial reaction to seeing the information coming in that this had gone down was, first of all, power abhors a vacuum. And these areas in the Middle East that have been under the thumb of a dictator for so long have an incredibly tough road ahead of them to create something that looks very different from what they've been living under. And when you intersperse with that the religious zealotry that exists in that region, that is in so many different factions that virtually none of them agree with each other, I have a great deal of trepidation and fear for the people that need to benefit from this.
Yeah, so the rebels have said that they're not going to harm the minorities. I hope that's true. They've also said they're going to call for elections and things like that. I hope that's true too. Don't know if it is. We won't know until it happens. Another thing happened is Israel took advantage of this. Did you see that?
Of course I did. They immediately moved into Syria and at their convenience, leisure, and whim, basically seized territory and calling it a buffer zone.
As soon as Syria's military gave up to the rebels, Israel invaded the agricultural region and seized it and said, "This is ours now."
Fucking, I know, just
modern imperialism, which the United States also still practices
and supports.
Yeah.
Because have you seen the United States call out Israel for moving into territory that isn't theirs? No,
I have not. No. So, but anyway, that's a huge development. That'll be something we're watching over the next few weeks because we don't know what's going to happen in that power vacuum, as you mentioned. I hope that they get democracy there. I hope that the minorities get representation and aren't harmed, which is what the rebels that took Damascus said would happen. I just hope that's what actually happens.
I think I'm just being completely honest based on the history of how these things have gone in those areas. When things like this go down, warlords tend to rise up and
genocides happen.
Yep.
I know. That's why I'm saying I'm hoping that it goes differently, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll be following it.
Yes.
Now, the other major news of the week, in broad daylight, the CEO of the largest health insurer in the United States was killed in Manhattan. And you've all heard of that.
Yeah.
But what is most amazing to me is the reaction to it. Leftists, liberals, centrists, conservatives, all of us have been expressing that we don't give a fuck that motherfucker died, and we want better health care.
And I think it's between the NYPD and the FBI, there's like $60,000 worth of reward money for tips leading to the identity and capture and prosecution of the alleged shooter. That's what they think. That's the amount of money they think that we will sell each other out for. I wouldn't. I swear to God, I wouldn't. If I knew who this guy was, I would not be giving him up. If that guy came to my house,
I would hide him.
Yep.
He'd be safe. But yeah, this could be, it's a big could, the thing that awakens the class consciousness that we all need to realize that the powers that be are the enemy. It is those politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, that continue to take money from corporate interests and rule solely in their behalf and against the working class. Those are the enemy. And it seems like even right-wingers are realizing that. Did you see the comments on Ben Shapiro's post?
I did not, but I did see somebody talking about those comments that they were pretty surprising.
Yeah, so Ben Shapiro defended Brian Thomspson, the CEO of United Healthcare, which, by the way, is the biggest health insurer. They also deny 32% of insurance claims from their people who pay them premiums every month.
It's huge.
That is enormous. And it was so much bigger than everyone else's. And guess what I was shocked to find out? My healthcare is United.
I went and I immediately looked because we just did open enrollment because we're switching to somebody else. And I have not been able to find out yet whether or not UHC is what we switched to. I hope the fuck it isn't.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I have VA healthcare also. So I just use that.
Yeah.
Which cost me nothing. And I wish everybody could enjoy that. But yeah, it's crazy. I hope that guy is never caught. Now, the interesting thing is, was that the first shot in the revolution? Because a lot of people think it was.
Well, if it was, then things need to happen pretty quickly because if
we need a general strike.
Yeah, if we fall into a sense of complacency after this and go back to the status quo, then it was all for nothing.
Which I'm I'm sad about it, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. A general strike, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, is difficult because without a sense of community between the people who would be involved in this strike, and it would have to be, relatively impactful industries, these people need to be able to take care of each other, because there's going to, and it can't be just 1 or 2 days. It's got to be longer than that.
It needs to be everybody. And if it's everybody, it doesn't have to be that long, a week or 2.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Getting that mass amount of numbers is going to be the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if you take all the union members and get all the unions to strike at the same time, that's only 13% of the workforce. It's small.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I've seen things where they say you don't need that many, like 3% or something. I think I've seen is the number that can affect change. I've seen that historically, looking at history. I don't know. I'm not a historian, but I've seen people quote that. And if that's true, then I think it's doable.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is struggling right now, and it is going to be very hard to get people to give up their livelihood to affect permanent change.
Yeah.
That's still hard. It would be hard for me to do it, to be honest.
True. Same here. Yeah.
And I would steal for what I needed.
Right.
If we were all doing it, I would steal for what I needed and I would just do it. But you can't. I understand people that are struggling can't make that decision. I understand that. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
This is where things like mutual aid and, again, what I said was a sense of community between the people that would be involved in this to be able to take care of each other, because, each person would have to be able to iterate what they could do. Like, I could take care of a family of 4 for a day or 2, and other people would have to step up and step in and make sure everybody stays okay through this, because you can't have people coming out the other side of this worse than when they went in. That's right. That's what we need to watch out for. But we'll see what happens next. We'll see what the next move is. I haven't confirmed this, but I saw reports that LinkedIn pages for CEOs and stuff, they were removing identifying information.
Well, yeah, that's something to comment on, because rather than adjust their behavior and lessen how much they screw over the working class of America, they've chose to hire more security to prevent themselves from being victims.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with the United States.
Well, I think it happened about the same time, and I think it was either Aetna. I think it was Aetna that had issued a statement right about the same time that this assassination occurred, that some detail came out about their policy regarding anesthesia, and that they were not going to.
It was Blue Cross Blue Shields.
Oh, it was Blue Cross.
Yeah.
They were not going to cover the cost of anesthesia for the duration of a surgery that uses anesthesia.
Yeah, they were going to set an arbitrary limit of time that they would pay for anesthesia for.
Fucking God. And
they did change that.
Well, they did and nobody had to get shot to change that.
But here's the thing. They announced it after he was shot.
Yeah.
and then reversed it after they saw the backlash.
I'm sure that what they didn't do was announce, like, to the general public, this is a policy change. I think somebody found it in a rider or, some part of somebody's policy, or healthcare providers would obviously be the first people notified. And healthcare providers were the ones that I saw in social media getting on there and putting this on blast. Yeah. So the level of tone deafness for any of these corporations is profound. Like, Ben Shapiro is a great example, because he's a bootlicker for corporations and political interests that support corporations. He was as tone deaf as could be in his statement supporting the UHC guy. So
yeah, his own supporters turned on him over that.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about the insurance industry as a whole. We are the only developed country that does not have universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what universal health care is, that means everybody is entitled to health care, and the state facilitates that and pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only country that doesn't have that. Other countries that have universal health care also have private insurance. Canada does. I think the UK does. Where rich people can get slightly better care, I guess, if they're willing to pay for it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is entitled to a base amount of health care
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't fucking die from shit you shouldn't die from. And we're the only developed country that doesn't have that. Although undeveloped countries also have that. Underdeveloped, I should say, not undeveloped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're really one of the very few in the earth that don't have that. And we don't have it 100% because Democrats and Republicans both take money from health insurance companies. That's why we don't have it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
That and what was that guy's name when Obama tried to do it? The Democrat that turned on him. He's dead now.
Oh, McCain?
No, it wasn't.
He was a
McCain.
Republican.
He was a Jewish guy.
Lieberman.
Lieberman. Yeah. But for him, we would have United Healthcare or Universal Healthcare right now.
Yep.
But Obamacare ended up not being universal healthcare because Lieberman said he wouldn't vote for it.
Yeah, it's going to take a complete dismantling of the insurance industry as a whole, and they are going to fight with everything that they have available to keep that from happening.
They are, but you got to think the Democrats at least are looking at the backlash to this and saying we need to reintroduce universal health care as the thing to win elections. I hope they're thinking that.
I don't know. After how this last election went, and going back to the tone deafness of the Democratic Party, and how they completely sold out the core of their constituency in their lack of policy that on issues that were directly impactful to the people that were going to be going into the voting booths. I don't have much faith that the Democratic Party has had some sort of awakening.
The establishment Democratic Party, I 100% agree, but I'm hopeful that there are progressives that can overtake that party and move them in that direction again. Because they were there. They were there, James.
Well, yeah, but they were also there as wolves in sheep's clothing because fucking Fetterman ran as that person. He ran as the progressive that was going to change things. And he turned out to be nothing but a shill.
True. He did have a stroke in between, so maybe he's a different person. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. But it's clear that the people want universal health care, right? You agree?
Of course.
That is clear. Hopefully the politicians see that.
We will see.
Moving on. You've said on this podcast numerous times that you don't think Hegseth is going to get confirmed.
I stand by that.
Okay. There are only 6 Republicans that have said they won't vote for him at this time. And none of them say, well, I'll never vote for him. They're all like, I just won't commit to it now. I got to see things.
Yeah.
He's going to get confirmed if he gets put up there. Anyway, here's why you shouldn't even put him up there. The guy's a fucking sissy. He's got his mom calling senators asking them to vote for him.
Well, wait a minute.
His mom doing the tour of the news shows, Fox News and News Nation.
So there was a story a few weeks ago that his mom issued a press release saying that her son mistreats women and has a history of mistreating women. Was that not true?
That wasn't a press release. That was an old email, like very old. She's been disavowing that.
Oh, convenient.
Yeah. But there's also been lots of... This is the funniest thing to me. As an alcohol abuser myself, he's accused of abusing alcohol and acting badly while under the influence.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's like a deployment. You're not allowed to drink when you're on deployment. I won't drink while I'm Secretary of Defense. What the fuck is that?
Jesus Christ. And Trump is supposed to be this, he's full of shit, but he's always touted himself as this teetotaler that has never touched alcohol. How in the world, other than there's a quid pro quo?
There are plenty of photos of Trump with alcohol in his hand. Yeah. I'll just say that. Plenty.
I'm not, and it's ridiculous of me to imply that there should be consistency in the morality of any politician or anything like that, but it's ridiculous.
So I don't know. I'm not as confident as you that Hegseth won't get confirmed. We will see when we see, I guess.
I could be wrong, and I'll be wrong, and that'll just be fine, and we'll move on to the next thing.
Well, I hope you're not wrong.
We'll see.
All right, moving on. Other things happened overseas. A pair of countries decided that their elections were not legitimate because of Russian interference. Those were one former Russian republic and one former Warsaw Pact member, Georgia and Romania. In Georgia, a far-right pro-Putin fascist won the election, and the Georgian people said bullshit, and they came out en masse to demonstrate. And I don't know what's going to happen there. There's been some violence toward the protesters.
In the past, when something like this would go down, where Russia was clearly had a puppet candidate in there, and then there was a disavowing of the election results that looked like they were swinging to that individual. That's been an excuse for Russia to move in,
right,
and quell the discontent and put their person.
They did that in Belarus and Ukraine in the past.
Yeah. But I think Russia is less effective in these things than they used to be, and
they've lost a lot of their military might in Ukraine. Some people don't seem to want to admit that, but it's a fact.
Yeah,
their military is a shell of what it was.
Which is why he had to bring in tens of thousands of North Korean troops to pick up where the body bags of his own people are leaving the void. And
it's why they had to abandon Syria.
Yep.
Also, Romania, a former Warsaw Pact member, they had a round of voting and a far-right fascist won, and their Supreme Court said Russian interference, this vote is null and void. Here in the United States, by the way, there was Russian interference and we didn't do shit.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, in fact, the people that were on the side of the Russian interference tried to do their shit because they weren't happy with the actual results in the face of Russian interference. But by the way, those people are set to be pardoned, by the way. Trump has iterated today that he's ready to pardon all the J6ers.
Well, he said that all along, and I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's fucking insane to me. That is.
I mean, James, it is not any more insane than the motherfucker that attempted a goddamn coup is about to be president again.
No.
Nobody is having the appropriate response to this, in my opinion.
True. Yeah, I can't. This is where I still can't picture what Inauguration Day is going to look like. I can't see. Well, Biden on that stage smiling to the world and shaking the hand of this guy. It just doesn't add up to me. That's going to be the defining surreal moment for me.
I would like to see millions, and I'm saying millions of Americans to descend on DC for the inauguration and let them know that this isn't okay. That we're not going to be a fascist country. We're not going to accept this.
I hope the protests are thick and heavy and loud and
Dude, I'll fucking go. DC is only 5.5 hours away. I will fucking go if that happens.
God, I wish I could.
Just to be clear, I'm not saying that you're going to swarm the Capitol and take shits in the hallways, okay? That's not what I'm saying. We're going to have way more people and just express your displeasure peacefully.
Yeah, it should be a displacement of the numbers. The numbers should favor the people who have both hemispheres of their brain functioning, and hopefully that's how that looks on that day. I don't know.
That's what I hope will happen, but likely nothing's going to happen because that's what we do. We're too comfortable. All right, moving on. South Korea. I lived there for 7 years, so this is near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
South Korea got into the news because their far-right president lost control of the parliament in an election and couldn't get shit done. So he just said, you know what? I'm going to declare martial law. All those people that are against me are North Korea sympathizers. We're going to arrest them all and put them in prison. Who does that sound like, by the way?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he did that. And this, I teared up watching this happen because I know Koreans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean I know Koreans as a whole, but I know some Koreans. I have Korean friends. I was married to a Korean woman for 7 years. I had a Korean dog.
Wow.
Yeah, his name was Kamja.
Cool.
That's Korean for potato. But anyway, there was staffers of the politicians. So the opposing party, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to say there's far-right Republicans and there's Democrats, right? They're not. They're different names. Although, actually, the Democrats are Democrats there. The Republicans are something else. But the staffers for the Democrats fought off the military that was trying to seize the Capitol building, the Parliament building.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the National Assembly. They were trying to seize it so they couldn't have a vote, because in the Korean Constitution, if the president declares martial law, the parliament can vote to override it with a simple majority. And the opposition coalition had 192 of 300 seats, so they had a majority. And they were ordered to rush to the National Assembly to vote, and the military was trying to prevent them, and their staffers literally fought them off. There's videos of this. There's videos of people, literally women, just grabbing the muzzle of military guns and saying, "Get the fuck out of here."
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
And some of those clips that I saw, the military members who were confronted by these people genuinely backed down like rapidly. Yeah.
Yes, they did. They did, because they knew it wasn't right.
Well, and they're citizens too. They're citizens just like the people that they're up against. 100%.
So anyway, the Democrats managed to get into the National Assembly building, and they had their vote, and 192-0, they voted to reverse the declaration of martial law. So it never actually took place. And the president then took it back and apologized. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So then Parliament resumes, and they want to impeach him for attempting a coup, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the conservative members of Parliament boycotted the vote. That vote was also 192-0, but in Korea, you need 200 votes to be a quorum and have the vote be binding in that case. So the impeachment didn't happen. Although his own party is still calling for him to resign. So they do want him to resign. They just didn't want him to go to prison for it.
When is the next election there for him? If
that
he's
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if he would even run.
I don't know, but it's interesting that like so many countries, including our own, coming out of the pandemic, everything was bad for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they tended to vote for fascists because fascists promise you the world.
Yep.
And that's happened across the globe. And Korea is one of the first countries that's going to switch all the way back because they just realized that that's not going to work for them.
Well, let them lead the way then for the rest of the other countries that went the other direction on the spectrum, and bring them back to a sense of reason.
You know, I want to go back to the very first thing we talked about. Maybe it wasn't not the second thing we talked about, the United Healthcare CEO. Mm-hmm. Something I saw that I thought was funny, because we've talked about this before. I think that this really feels like we're in 1930s Germany right here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And somebody said, wow, who would have thought we'd have 1930s Germany America and 1780s France America at the same time? If you don't know what 1780s France was, that's the French Revolution. That is where the proletariat overthrew the bourgeoisie. And finally, the working class had rights in France.
Yeah,
I think we need here.
Well, yeah, and I think the fact that you had those two dynamics happening at the same time is a consequence of having been through this in history already. And we saw most of us saw the welling up of the fascism in the West, in the United States particularly. And so we've been vocal about it for a long while, and they were never able to get their boot on our necks sufficiently to quell that awareness, the wokeness, the God forbid fucking wokeness, so that it was never going to be a smooth transition for these people to take over. And I'm hoping that the pendulum begins swinging the other direction very quickly, because we've never swung this far before. We've come close, but we are now full on in the next, how many weeks here before? 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, dude, we are so close to having class consciousness and actual change, but I'm still not confident we're there. We need a couple other CEOs to be deleted.
Well, but we also, like I said, in 5-6 weeks, we've got an administration taking over that will do unimaginable things. I'm 100% confident they will do unimaginable things to keep us from rising up and fighting back against these things.
Can that cause people to rise up more? Because no matter what they do, there's more of us.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I had somebody say that on TikTok. Somebody said, "Are you ready to do whatever is necessary?" Fuck yeah, I am. I'm ready to walk out my front door and never come back and go fight for a better future for my kids. Yes, I am.
Yeah, same here. We're on the same page.
All right. Another thing happened. This also relates to fascism in France this week. This was quite a week, James.
Yes, it was.
All right. So the government in France collapsed. What does that mean? It means there is no parliament, really, and laws can't be passed. How did this happen? Well, back in June, I think we did talk about this. President Macron dissolved parliament and called for an early election because his party was trounced in the European Parliament elections. So that's where French parliamentarians are elected to go serve in the European Parliament, not the French Parliament, the European Parliament. And they got trounced. So he started to worry that they were going to take over France as well. So he decided to call for an early election and recruited the leftists and progressives, right, to join the centrist party, his party, to defeat the far right party. And that worked. That happened. In fact, the leftists won the most seats, but nobody won a majority. The centrists didn't have a majority, the far right didn't have a majority, and the leftists didn't have a majority. The far right had the second most seats. Macron's centrists won the least seats, so there was no coalition that had a majority. Macron then rejected the leftist request to form the government and asked the centrist and center right to work together to form the government. He did that because he didn't want to lose his legacy. One of the things he did that was extremely unpopular and led to protests all across France was he raised the retirement age.
Yep.
And he didn't want to have to undo that, which the leftists said they would undo. So instead of joining, who else did this? Who else shunned the leftists to join the right as a centrist? That's how Kamala Harris lost this election. I'm convinced of that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, we're not going to rehash that. A couple episodes ago, we went all over that. Go back and listen if you're new to us. But yeah, so Macron chose to reject the leftists and asked his centrist party to work with the far right, and he appointed a center right prime minister. Well, then the leftists and the far right joined up to remove that prime minister because they didn't like his budget proposal. Neither one of them liked his budget proposal for different reasons. but they decided to team up and remove him. So there is no prime minister now. And by French law, you can't just have elections every few months. So I don't remember exactly, but they can't have the next election till late spring. So until then, there is no government in France. That's kind of an overstatement, but they can't make new laws. Right? So France is just going to be status quo, and there's nobody to react to anything that happens or anything like that.
What a mess.
Yeah, that's a mess. And that's what happens when you elect fascists. They elected fascists to the European Parliament, and this is what happened later. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, it feels like the world is collectively plunging into the abyss, and what comes out the other side is going to be interesting. And one of the things that we did not touch on, we left out, we should have mentioned this back with the UHC stuff. Our buddy, I say that facetiously, Nick Fuentes, got arrested for assaulting the person who rang his doorbell.
Yeah, I did see that.
He was charged, assaulted. And I have also seen other reports that he was outed in the week prior.
Destiny was blowing him. I don't know if that's true, man. I haven't seen any evidence of that, although I admit I haven't really searched it out. He's
having the day he deserves on blast for sure.
But I'm not a big fan of Destiny. He's a Democrat podcaster. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah.
He's a little too capitalist for me, and he's definitely a Zionist.
Speaking of our favorite things, TikTok lost their court battle to prove the unconstitutionality of the government's proposed ban of their function in the United States.
True.
So it
could go to the Supreme Court. Who knows what'll happen there?
Oh, I think it's definitely going to go to the Supreme Court, and so it's kind of up in the air. I mean, TikTok actually has a new spin-off app that I think that they implemented to try to get around this. It's got a stupid name called Lemon8.
Yeah. Well, Lemon8 was independent, and then TikTok teamed with it to try to get around it.
Oh, so they existed before. They need to change the goddamn name because the name just means nothing. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I saw you joined it. I didn't. I don't care. If TikTok goes away, it goes away.
Yeah. Well,
I existed before TikTok. I can exist after.
I didn't. I only started to exist when TikTok happened. I am just a voice. I am a disembodied voice that.
Well, I would just say I've noticed TikTok has turned to the far right. They have started censoring left-wing speech. For sure. For the past couple months, they have.
Yeah.
But excessively since the election. And I think that is because they are hoping that the new administration will undo the ban. And Trump has flirted with that idea. So we'll see.
But I saw a creator talking about this. Can he really do that? Because Biden has already signed it. There would have to be some counter legislation proposed.
Yeah, there would. I mean, Congress would have to pass a new law and Trump would have to sign it, but he controls Congress, so he can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets Congress to go along with it.
It'll be interesting because the same congressman that voted to ban it would have to be also voting to not ban it. I mean,
again, but who knows why they vote? I mean,
who expects consistency?
This is something that made me sick. I saw Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker, right, Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple days ago, I saw him on TikTok quoting. He did a stitch where he was sharing information that a TikTok creator, that's their job, right? That's their career. I don't remember who it was, but it was someone you know probably, but I don't remember. But a news creator. I might have been Under the Desk News, but anyway, he quoted someone and then added his 2 cents to it on TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
As if this is a great place to share this information, but he himself voted to ban it.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck you, Cory Booker.
I want to point out on this topic that the issue of national security that the government bases their boogeyman of TikTok on has nothing whatsoever to do with, through TikTok, China stealing state secrets. It doesn't have to do with that at all. That's not referenced. That's not implied. The direct statement from the government about why TikTok shouldn't exist in the United States is because it could introduce people to information that is outside the control of the United States government.
Right.
How somebody reads that and sees that and goes, oh yeah, my government's really looking out for what's best for me.
Well, I just want to say TikTok absolutely does that.
Yeah,
it does that, and it does it very well.
It does it, but it's doing it not according to the U.S. government's agenda. You might see Chinese propaganda on the app. Oh no, what will that do? It's the basis of this block of TikTok is ridiculous.
Look, I don't know that there's not anyone. I don't know if there's anyone in Congress that's an anti-capitalist. I don't know that there is.
No.
And they know that capitalism is on its last legs. They know that there is not that much more that needs to happen to push the working class to rise up and say enough. And that's why they're banning TikTok. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Everything's awful. Everything's just as...
And it's probably going to work. It's probably going to work.
It's going to work. People will have a way to get around it for sure. But people who, like myself, who make money through the app are going to be completely shit on for that. And
I saw a quote that there was 3 million people that their sole income is from TikTok.
Like creators and TikTok shop people. Yeah.
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 That's going to be a lot of unemployment claims.
That's a good thing. I wonder if I can do that.
Oh, of course you can.
Claim lost income.
Losing income.
Outstanding. All right. Well, hey, you've got this thing in odds and ends about these drones. I have not paid much attention to this because anytime I see this kind of goofy UFO conspiracy shit, I swipe right past it because
I usually do too. But this is weird because there really are drones. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
But what's especially weird about it is, okay, so a couple weeks ago, it was happening in the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was all over. There's drones over American Air Force bases in the UK. And that happened for a couple weeks. Now they're in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And there's good video. They don't look like aliens to me. They look like drones, right? Okay. They look like military drones, though. And I don't know what's going on. But here's what I find interesting. Local police in the places where they're being seen admit they're there and want answers. The federal government is saying, we don't see nothing.
What?
Yeah, I swear to God. The FAA said there's no evidence of drone activity in New Jersey, but there's video and there's local police chiefs asking the public to video them and like, because they're there. They are real. They're there. They have FAA lights. They have red and green lights. They're not aliens, okay?
Right.
But somebody is launching drones, and who is it? I don't know who it is. I mean, is it Amazon and Walmart doing deliveries?
That could be, because you're saying these things are larger than the hobbyist drone that you would see, right?
Yeah. So it could be that. They could be military drones. They could be our adversaries. I don't know. But there's definitely drones, and the government's acting weird about it. So I just thought it was interesting.
Well, weren't most of these sightings too near airports or military airfields?
They were in the UK.
Oh.
The one, I don't know why they're in New Jersey, and they're widespread over New Jersey. They're not like located in a specific place. Mm-hmm. People have tried to tie them to armories. People have tried to tie them to Trump's golf course. They've tried to tie them to a lot of things, but they're just kind of all over the place. This is why I think it's probably, I don't know why it's a secret though. I would think it's a corporation doing something, and New Jersey is the first state that gave them permission to do it. Like California is the only state that's got Waymo driving around. You know, the driverless taxis.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey maybe was the first state to say, hey, we're going to let you test your drones here. That's what I think. But I don't know why that would be a secret.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they come out and say that?
Yeah.
It's very strange.
And then, of course, the conspiracy theorists are going to respond to what you just asked as to why they wouldn't just come out and say it, is because they want to keep us distracted from something else. Well, look at what you're not paying attention to. God, for fuck's sake, I don't have time for that anymore.
Those posts are the stupidest posts ever because you're talking about the thing that you're claiming to be distracted from while you're saying you're distracted from it.
And how unable are you to pay attention to more than one thing at a time, that your entire focus and your entire world is in one point of view? It's
exactly. I mean, how many news items did we talk about today?
a lot.
Which one was the distraction? Because we talked about all of them.
Right. Yeah, somebody's out there claiming that, though. I want to find their post and harass them. That's what I'm going to do after we're done recording.
Yeah. But anyway, I find the drone thing to be a little bit interesting. I don't think it's aliens. I wish people would stop saying that.
I think that there's always going to be those people. For some reason, the flat earthers are all over my FYP and TikTok. The flat earth shit is everywhere.
That's what I'm telling you. I think it's TikTok trying to embrace the right wing. I really do, because I've noticed that too.
All right. Well, lighter topics. We got anything to lighten things up?
I don't know. I've been watching Community. It's a comfort show. I've watched every episode 3 or 4 times. I'm watching it again. So
I have never watched it.
Here.
I think I have it on my Plex, but I've never watched it. I might get into it because I'm running out of things to watch.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know if you will. I do. It's a little off the wall, but I love the characters. I think it's great. I hate Chevy Chase. He dies in like season 5, so you don't have to deal with him anymore. But yeah,
all the stuff that I'm currently hooked into is in like current seasons. So like Dune Prophecy on HBO. I'm caught up with that. I like where that's going. I know that you haven't seen the Dune movies. I don't understand how
I have seen the Dune movies. I didn't like them.
Oh, okay. I thought you didn't see them.
No, I watched them. I just didn't like them.
Not like them. What is wrong with you?
I thought they were boring. It was like,
oh my God,
too much. It was too much. There were too many characters. I don't know.
Silo is back for season 2, and I'm caught up on that. Yeah,
I've seen 3 episodes. I know there's a 4th. I haven't watched that yet.
Oh wait, there is? Hang on.
I saw it in the top 10 of the place where I get movies, which I think we shouldn't talk about.
There is 4 episodes, and I think I watched episode 4 yesterday. Yes, I did, because I didn't actually pay attention to it because my son was here and we were talking at the same time. But yeah, I'm still with that. What else is new that is in my mix? There's a good series that is on, I don't know what network it's on, but it's called Landman. It's about the oil industry. It has Billy Bob Thornton, and it is produced by the same guy that did Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan. I
feel like I'd probably like that show. I'm turned against it though, because Mr. Global did a TikTok about it and said that whoever wrote that show doesn't know what a landman does.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm not looking at it as some sort of documentary, but it's got really good character development so far, and it's really good.
I do like Billy Bob Thornton. I think he's a good actor. I like his characters in a lot of movies and shows.
If you haven't watched the series he was in called Goliath, you need to watch that. That is fucking
I have seen clips of it on TikTok. I need to watch it. I do agree. I need to watch that.
The new Star Wars side story called Skeleton Crew came out, and I watched the first episode, and it is.
Did you watch The Acolyte?
I did. I watched the whole season, and I was bummed that they aren't going to continue it.
So it's good?
I thought it was good. It definitely deserved to go on, but they're going to leave it where it was. Yeah. Skeleton Crew is very much designed for children, which isn't. It was advertised to be.
Oh,
was it?
Yeah.
See, and I'm not slighting that because I watched all 526 episodes of the Clone Wars, which were all animated, and that's
I don't think I watched all of them, but I watched several. That's a good show.
There's a lot, and it's definitely worth it. It works to plug the gaps in all the plot holes.
Anyway, are cartoons not for adults? Because my other comfort show besides Community is Futurama. I watch Futurama all the time.
Oh God, American Dad, Family Guy.
I mean, I watch every episode of Futurama every year. I would say I've probably watched every episode except for the current season. I have not watched the current season that's currently airing since it's.
Oh, I didn't know it was even still airing.
Oh, it's not. I'm not still airing. It got resurrected again.
See, I've never watched it.
There's a new season that just happened this year in 2024.
I've never seen a single episode of it.
I haven't either, but I've watched all the other episodes, including the movies that they came out with and everything. Many times.
Speaking of things that are social, that are woven into our social fabric, I have never seen a single episode of The Simpsons, and I refuse to watch The Simpsons.
Really?
I refuse to watch The Simpsons.
I mean, you would have been. I don't know how old you are, but I feel like you would have been a kid when it first came out. I was in 6th grade, and I don't think you're that much older than me.
Yeah, it was definitely something in my late teens, early 20s when it came out. I've never watched it, and I'll tell you why I've never watched it. Because Bart refers to his father by his father's first name, and that's taboo to me.
Okay,
so I won't watch it. Fuck The Simpsons. I've never seen an episode.
That's interesting.
And I'll go to my grave having never seen an episode of The Simpsons.
All right.
You got to have a hill to die on, man.
I watched every episode for the first probably 9 or 10 seasons. Back in the day, I recorded all the episodes off of TV on a VHS tape.
Oh my God.
Then used a dual VCR to order them. And I used to have VHS tapes of the first 10 seasons with all the episodes in order.
Holy shit.
I spent so many hours doing that. So many hours. But I have not watched an episode in probably 20 years. I have not watched a single episode in probably 20 years. But at one time, I very much was watching The Simpsons.
Good Lord. Yeah, I don't know of anything that's on the horizon coming out. I did see that
football playoffs about to happen.
Go sports ball. I could give a fuck about sports. I did see Guillermo del Toro is redoing the Frankenstein movie, and I
saw that too, and I can't wait.
Dying for that.
Did you watch his thing on Netflix?
No. What thing?
He had a horror anthology series. I don't remember what it was called, but it was very good.
I'll look it up.
Look it up. Cabinet of Curiosities, maybe. It was good. It's like 6 episodes. They're different directors and whatnot that do each one, but they're all very good.
That's what it's called. I'm going to download that tonight.
I highly recommend it. It's good.
You saved me. Now I have something else to obsess about. Yay. All right. We got anything else?
Yeah, I can talk about my weather.
Oh, yeah. What the hell?
It got warm today. It was sunny and mid-40s, so we lost about half of our snowpack. And tomorrow is supposed to be just as warm, but it's supposed to rain. I'm hoping it gets rid of a lot of the rest of it.
What was the total amount of snow you guys received over the course of this?
Where I live, because it varies very much. Like, it depends on where the lake effect snow band goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where I live, we got 4 feet. Where my parents live, which is maybe 15 miles away, they got 7.
Wow. And that was several dumpings, right? It wasn't all at once.
It was 4 solid days.
Wow.
Yeah. 4 solid days of it. My office was closed all week. I got to work from home all week. Yesterday, I went and got my car out because I parked my car on the street because I have like 70 feet of driveway that I knew I wasn't going to shovel. So when I saw the forecast, I was like, I'm going to park on the street so I don't have to shovel the driveway. And but then the plows came through and buried my car. So
I'm shocked that they allow you to park in the street in the winter, because in Vermont that is completely illegal. You can't.
Yeah, we got emergency streets where you can't do that. Mine's not one. It's not one of those. But yeah, there's certain streets that you can't, and there's other streets where you have to park on. It's alternate day parking, so like you can park on one side one day and on the other side the other day, so that they can plow it.
Did anybody you know of lose power for an extended period?
No, but I lost power, but not for an
long?
extended period. Like I lost it several times for like 2 or 3 minutes at a time. And it was, I don't remember which day it was, but I was working. I was trying to work. But that's when I realized like I love working from home, but it sucks that my employer gives me a laptop with 7 hours of battery life and a Verizon wireless.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're working.
It's like even when the power goes out, I don't get to say the power's out. I can't work. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because
although my second monitor went out for a while, because I do have a second monitor, of course.
Losing power during a blizzard like that, while it can be a major inconvenience in a place like where I live, where we don't get that kind of weather, it can be deadly in places where you live. And
well, yeah, I was worried because my house is very drafty, and I was like, oh my God, if I don't have power, it's going to get cold in here really fast.
Yeah.
Because there were 60-mile-an-hour winds. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to suck. But fortunately, it didn't stay out for very long, a couple minutes at a time, and it was like 4 or 5 times. So no, I don't know anybody that didn't have power for a long time. And I would have been one of the first. I live in the city. I live in a house built in 1870 with, I don't know, the wires are hanging off the house. The electric wires. I don't know. None of it seems right to me, but I'm not an electrician, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's warming up for you. I hope it's not going to be too much of a mess when it finally gets through that phase, and hopefully you don't get another. We had a long winter ahead of us still. It's only mid-December.
I know. Well, we got 3 days of warm, which is I'm hoping melts most of this snow. Then it's gonna get cold again, but there's not like snow in the forecast, so. And once the lake freezes, if it does, lake effect snow is not a thing. It needs Lake Erie to feed those. So if the lake freezes, which it doesn't always freeze anymore, it used to. It's funny. I've lived here for, I think, 14 years now, and ice fishing is very popular in the bay. Like the bay, I don't know if it has a name, but there's a bay in Erie, on Lake Erie, and is very popular. And I think I've seen the tents ice fishing out there in the 14 years I've lived here, maybe 3 times.
Really?
Yep. All the rest of the time, the ice isn't thick enough and they can't go out.
Oh, okay.
And it's been a few years. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since the last time I saw them. So.
All right. Well, my vacation is over. I've been off for a week. I go back to work tomorrow. And yay. I'm so psyched for that.
I got work tomorrow too, and I'm working overtime now too.
Well, that's good.
It is good. I need it to live. You shouldn't have a job that you have to work overtime to live on.
I know. I hear you.
But anyway, like, subscribe, comment.
Yep. We will see you next week. I'm sure it'll be another crazy, busy week of horrible things, and we'll be on top of it for y'all.
And good things like CEO murders.
Possibly. We'll see. All right, dude. Have a good week. I'll see you next week.
Nobody's listening at this point. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.